Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Amna Gul from the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. We're back with the course Communication Skills for Media, bearing the code GMC 232. It's our 11th lecture, and the topic today is Speaking Competencies. It's the continuation of the previous lecture, and this lecture we'll also be discussing the Speaking Competence Rubric that we'll be using for evaluating your speeches or your presentations. So what we'll be doing is we'll be completing the speaking competencies followed by the competence rubric. As I said, it's meant for evaluating your presentations. Of the speaking competencies, we had done all of these. The first one was useful topic, which was to select a topic that is appropriate to the audience and the occasion as well. The second was engaging introduction, that is to formulate an introduction that orients the audience to the topic and the speaker. That was the second competence. Then the third competency was clear organization, which is to use an effective organizational pattern in your presentation or your speech. The fourth one was well-supported ideas, which is to locate, synthesize, and employ compelling supporting material. The fifth, closure in conclusion. That is actually to develop a conclusion that reinforces the thesis and provides psychological closure to whatever the topic of your presentation is. The sixth one that we have discussed was to demonstrate a careful choice of words, which is actually reflected in clear and vivid language. The seventh, suitable vocal expression. It was to effectively use vocal expression and paralanguage to engage the audience. And the last that we discussed in our last lecture was corresponding nonverbals, which actually meant to demonstrate nonverbal behavior that supports the verbal message. Now, these were 8 of the competencies. We'll continue with the 9th one today, which is adapted to the audience. The 9th speaking competency is to successfully adapt the presentation to the audience. The advanced speaker shows how information is important to the audience, and his speech is tailored to their beliefs, their values, and their attitudes. He may also make allusions to culturally shared experiences. A beginning speaker, on the other hand, assumes but does not articulate the importance of the topic. His presentation is minimally adapted to the audience, and some of the ideas presented in the speech are removed from the audience's frame of reference or their experiences. Comparatively, an ineffective speaker's speech is contrary to the audience's beliefs, values, and attitudes. His message may be generic or canned, and no attempt is made to establish common ground. The 10th, adept use of visual aids. To skillfully make use of visual aids is the 10th competency. Exceptional explanation and presentation of visual aids is the characteristic of advanced speaker. His speech provides visuals. His speech has visuals that provide powerful insight into the speech topic, and visuals are of high professional quality. The beginning speaker's visual aids are generally well developed and explained, although there may be minor errors present in the visuals. An ineffective speaker uses visual aids that distract from his speech. His visuals may not be relevant, or his visuals may be of poor professional quality. So, this is the difference in use of visual aids. Last of the speaking competencies is convincing persuasion. So, it's the 11th and final speaking competency, and it is meant to construct an effectual, persuasive message with credible evidence and sound reasoning. An advanced speaker articulates the problem and solution in a clear, compelling manner. He supports his claims with powerful and credible evidence while completely avoiding reasoning fallacies. His speech also contains a memorable call to action. In the beginning speaker's speech, the problem and solution are evident, and most claims are supported with evidence. He also has journally sound reasoning and a recognizable call to action. For the ineffective speaker, the problem or solution are not well defined. His claims are not supported with evidence. His speech contains poor reasoning, and there is no call to action. Ultimately, one must adjust, expand, and apply these competencies as best fits the requirement of the speaking situation. But they do provide a starting point for new or less experienced speakers to begin to understand all of the interrelated components of a speech. Having said that, I would like to shift to the competence rubric. This is actually professionally developed to evaluate all kinds of speeches or presentations. The first slide, I'll explain all of these. You can see the assessment criteria. 0 is marked for the person who is seen as a deficient presenter. 1 is minimal, 2 basic, 3 proficient, and 4 advanced. So for you, whichever competence that we are discussing, for example, we are discussing number 1 at this slide, so you need to try to reach level 4, that is advanced. That should be your target in all these cases. Now, what is the competence 1? That was about selection of topic. Number 1 was useful topic. So the student selects a topic appropriate to the audience and the occasion, which we have already explained as well. Now, someone who is on the advanced level, that person, his topic engages audience, the topic is worthwhile, timely, and presents new information to the audience. Now compare it to the deficient one. For example, I'm speaking from the very end of the table. A single topic cannot be deduced from the speech or the presentation. So can you see the difference? I leave the slide a little longer. I want you to go through it. For example, number 3, the proficient one is the topic of his speech is appropriate to the audience and situation and provides some useful information to the audience. So this is good enough still, but it's not excellent. Number 2, basic. The topic is untimely or lacks originality, provides scant new information to audience. So it has little new information for the audience. And the number 1, minimal, was topic is too trivial, too complex, or inappropriate for audience. Topic is not suitable for the situation. So these are the differences. For example, when you will be doing your presentations for the rest of this semester, so when you'll be asked to select a topic on your own, then your selection of topic would also be marked for it. For the first presentation that you're going to have in coming days, in that case, obviously, selection of topic was not your choice. So obviously, you will not be marked for this competence. I hope that makes it clear. Okay, number 2, engaging introduction. What is the competence? That the student formulates an introduction that orients audience to the topic as well as the speaker. For that matter, I'll start with the advanced one, number 4. Excellent attention getter, like the student starts with an excellent attention getter to gain the interest and attention of his audience. He firmly establishes credibility. There is a sound orientation to topic. There is a clear thesis. He provides preview of main points, cogent and memorable. The proficient speaker, number 3, he uses a good attention getter, journally establishes his credibility, provides some orientation to the topic, but his thesis is not that clear and previews main points. Number 2, the basic one. Attention getter is mundane, somewhat develops credibility, but there is an awkwardly composed thesis which provides little direction for audience. Number 1, minimal. The opening is irrelevant, it doesn't try much to build credibility. Then there's jump or abruption towards the body of the speech. Thesis or main points cannot be deduced, and because those are not very clearly stated. As for the deficient speaker, there is no opening technique, no credibility statement, no background on topic, no thesis, and no preview of points. So that makes it very bad. For you, you will be doing your introduction, so think about what your introduction is. Do you introduce? How do you introduce yourself? How do you introduce your topic? That is very much important. And try number 4, like the advanced level, if you read the last word, it's try being memorable. That is something very important. The third competence, clear organization. So a student uses effective organizational pattern. An advanced level student is very well organized, his main points are clear, and the points are mutually exclusive as well as directly related to whatever the topic is. And there are effective transitions and signposts. For a proficient one, there is, for a proficient level speaker, organizational pattern is obviously evident and main points are apparent, and there are transitions between main points, and also uses some of the signposts. The basic level student or presenter, his organizational pattern is somewhat evident. Main points are presented, but those are not mutually exclusive. Transitions are present but are minimally effective. For a minimal level student, the speech does not flow well. The speech is probably not organized logically. The transitions are present, but those are not well formed. As for a deficient speaker, no organizational pattern is visible. There aren't any transitions. It sounds as if information was generally randomly presented. Now moving to, see, whenever there is something that you want to show, so you don't need to leave the inferences to the audience, rather present that. That is very much important to understand. Moving on to the fourth competence, which is well-supported ideas. A student locates, synthesizes, and employs compelling supporting material. Now, an advanced level student or presenter, in his case, all his key points are well supported with a variety of credible material that can be facts, statistics, quotes, etc. Sources provide excellent support for his thesis, and all sources are clearly cited. This is actually mainly in cases of when you are giving certain arguments that need supporting data. From time to time, you'll be doing different presentations in different courses where you share statistics or other things to support the fact, for that matter, how you use those and then how those are referenced or how those are cited. That matters. For a proficient level speaker, main points are well supported with appropriate material and the sources correspond suitably to the thesis, and nearly all sources are cited. For a basic level speaker, points are generally supported using an adequate mix of materials, some evidence, supporting theses. Source citations need to be clarified, however. For a minimal level speaker, some points were not supported. For example, a great quantity or quality of material is needed. Some sources are of poor quality then. As for a deficient speaker, supporting material is not non-existent, and whatever there is not cited then. Fifth, closure in conclusion. For that matter, a student develops a conclusion that reinforces the thesis and provides psychological closure. For an advanced level student, he provides a clear and memorable summary of points, refers back to thesis, that is the big picture, and ends with strong clincher or call to action. For a proficient level student, there is appropriate summary of points, some reference back to the thesis, clear clincher, or call to action. For a basic level student or presenter, he provides summary of some of the points. He is not very clear in case of referencing back to the thesis, and the closing technique can be strengthened. In case of a minimal level speaker, conclusion lacks clarity, it trails off. It ends in a tone at odds with the rest of the speech. As for the deficient level speaker, there is no conclusion. The speech ends abruptly without any closure. Sixth competence is clear and vivid language, which means that the student or the presenter demonstrates a careful choice of words. In case of an advanced level speaker, language is exceptionally clear, imaginative, and vivid. It's completely free from bias, grammatical errors, and inappropriate usage. As for a proficient level speaker, language is appropriate to the goals of the presentation. There aren't any errors in grammar, and there is no evidence of bias. In case of a basic speaker, language selection is adequate. There are some grammatical errors. Sometimes the language is misused, for example, jargons or slang or awkward structure. In case of a minimal speaker, grammar and syntax need to be improved, as well as the level of language sophistication, and it is occasionally biased. In case of a deficient speaker, many errors in grammar and syntax are there. Extensive use of jargon or extensive use of slang or racist terms or mispronunciations. Now, as a matter of fact, in order to make it gender balanced, many times people use he and then she in different paragraphs or in different cases. In Pakistan in general, we still go with he, specifically in these parts of the world where we are. But generally, where people are more gender conscious or they want more of gender balance, in that case, it's a combination of he and she when you are using a third person pronoun for generally any person. Okay, the seventh competence is suitable vocal expression, which means that the student effectively uses vocal expression and paralanguage to engage the audience. Now, in case of a advanced level student, there is an excellent use of vocal variation. The intensity and pacing, vocal expression are natural and enthusiastic, and he avoids fillers. Rest you can go through yourself and you'll be able to understand how these things are. It's good that you go through all of this. Then eighth is corresponding nonverbal, which means that the student demonstrates nonverbal behavior that supports the verbal message. For an advanced level student, his posture, gestures, facial expression, and eye contact are well developed. Those are natural and they display high levels of poise and confidence. See, body language is a very powerful tool. And we have had it long before we had speech, and most of the times whatever you understand from a conversation, 80% of that is through the use of body language or nonverbal behavior. Okay, the ninth competence, adapted to the audience, which means that a student successfully adapts the presentation to the audience. I'll just explain the advanced level. That is, for an advanced speaker, he shows how information is personally important to the audience. The speech is skillfully tailored to advanced audience beliefs, values, and attitudes. Speaker makes allusions to culturally shared experiences. 10, adept use of visual aids, which means that a student skillfully makes use of visual aids. Exceptional explanation and presentation of visual aids, which is visuals provide powerful insight into the speech topic. Visual aids of high professional quality are used. The 11th competence, that is convincing persuasion, which means that the student constructs an effectual persuasive message with credible evidence and sound reasoning. Now, an advanced level speaker articulates problem and solution in a clear, compelling manner, supports claims with powerful and credible evidence, completely avoids reasoning fallacies, and his call to action is memorable. So, see, so if you're willing to learn, it's great, because being ignorant is not so much of a shame as being unwilling to learn. So if you're willing to learn, you can do a lot better. Our capacity to communicate through systems of language differentiates us from other species, but the use of that language to communicate effectively is actually harder than anticipated, particularly in front of an audience. Fortunately, you can learn the skills required to communicate more effectively, one-on-one and in a speaking situation. The speeches you present will be given in a particular context. In your role as communicator, you will encode and deliver a message which will then be decoded by audience members. At the same time you're speaking, you'll be receiving verbal and non-verbal feedback from the audience. The way that the message is decoded will depend entirely on the amount of noise interfering with the message as well with the worldviews of the audience members. Every new speaker should work to become skilled at the 11 core public speaking competencies. These competencies include, as I said earlier, selecting a useful topic, writing an engaging introduction, organizing the points of the speech, finding effective supporting materials for the points, adding a conclusion that provides closure, using clear and vivid language, making sure that one's vocal expression corresponds to the goals of the speech, using nonverbals that complement the message, adapting the message to one's audience, using visual aids effectively, and using credible evidence and sound reasoning in persuasive messages. It is important to remember that the best way to improve your public speaking skills is through preparation and practice. Although it may take time to learn effective speaking skills, the effort is well worth the benefits you will reap in your personal, professional, and public life. So that's all for today. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.